Hey guys! So today's video is actually inspired by something that happened to me recently. Between the last video and this one, I actually got a gift in the game, and it was an anonymous gift, so I don't know who it was. I don't really have any idea, but it did hit me. It's probably one of you guys. So whoever it was, thank you so much for your generosity. It was really unexpected, and it made my morning just to wake up and open the game and see that. And I've been thinking I would really like to give back, not only to the person who gave the gift, but to other people as well, because it's really the people that I interact with in this community, especially my guild, that really inspire me and bring me a lot of joy in playing the game. So this is my little gift back. Thank you so much once again. And today I want to show you a little bit how I do my war attacks. Now, today is Thursday evening for me, so there's no war going on. Not in my phone anyway. And I can show you, however, how I go about choosing my teams. I do have a few screenshots from the war that I just did, but obviously I won't be able to show you any war attacks in real time. And I think usually it's not so easy to do that anyway, with a lot of rushing in war or being caught up in the moment. So it would be quite difficult to talk you through my teams in real time. But what I try to bring to you today is a method of how you can get started doing 3 versus 4. So 3 versus 4 is how I've been doing my war attacks for quite a while now, probably for about a year. And it's only pretty recently that I've become consistently successful. Part of it is learning from my guildmates and kind of using that information to build up my own system. And it's that system that I want to show you today. So hopefully you can take something which is more than just seeing what teams I've brought, but something that you can develop for your own roster, that you can start to play around with and see if it maybe works for you. So I'm showing you my roster right now, and I filtered it for 6 stars, and you can see if I just scroll through, I have quite a lot, and this is not counting the people that I have in my storage. So I can completely understand, because I faced it as well, that sometimes when you're facing a defense team, it's really hard to even begin to choose your heroes. And I'm not going to go through everything today. I'm just going to, as I say, just tell you the system. So let me show you a screen cap first. So this is from the last war, as I said, 3v4. You can see the opponent has got Aurora, Necros, Sophia, and Claus. I don't think any of the teams I faced in the last war were double reviving teams, so that made it a little bit easier. Hopefully that also kind of gives more of like a beginner's guide to 3v4 for this video. And you can see who I've brought in is Maharold, Freya, and Alexander. And well, obviously the first thing you'll notice is that I've brought in 3 heroes, but I also want you to notice that there's only 2 colors in what I've brought, blue and green. And you can actually see at the kind of the bottom here, so that didn't work, but you can imagine that I'm tapping on the screen. Where it says machines on the bottom right hand corner, I have some damage from the machines as well. So I'm using, I think, 2 rams and a ballista in this case to kill 1 hero straight off the bat. And then with 1 hero dead, that's kind of the easy 3v4. You can play 3v3 actually. It's more difficult if you have a double reviving team, but we don't have that today. So from this screen cap, I just want to maybe show you one more example. So here you can see something very similar. Again, not a double reviving team, but on my side, you can see two colors again, yellow and green. So coincidentally, I have two Alexanders and you see both of them. They're actually equipped very differently, which I'll talk a little bit about later. And you can see again, the machine is doing a little bit of work. So in the last case, I killed Necros straight away. In this case, I think I killed Tycho straight away. In both cases, it was to get the crowd control hero dead. So now I'm just going to take you to this framework. And what you can see, I've done it on the Notes app in my phone, but you can also just do it on a piece of paper. And that might actually be easier for some people. So I have 3 columns: damage, support, and fast. And this refers to the primary function of the hero in that category. So damage means the primary aim in bringing that hero is that they should do damage. For support, it means that they have some supporting function. Maybe it's to give a buff, to give a debuff, to heal, to revive, these kinds of things. So basically not to do damage. And in the third category, we have fast. So that means that the main reason for bringing that hero in that team is going to be that they're fast. And what I would like you to do, and what I'm just going to do now, is I'm going to list some of my favorite heroes. Again, this is just kind of a simple way to get started on 3v4. So we're not going to look at the whole roster. We're just going to look at our favorite heroes. One of the benefits to doing 3v4 is instead of getting 6 attacks, you can actually get 8 attacks in. So I want you to list down at least 8 heroes, ideally 10, because you want to have a little bit of flexibility, and there are 5 colors plus astral in the game. So if you do 2 of each, 2 in each color, that will give you 10. So I'm going to do 10, but if you're just getting started and maybe you don't like the gear on some of your heroes, maybe you're not really confident in which heroes will be fast or will give good results, just start with 8, just start small. If you don't have 8, that's also okay. You can slowly build up your gear and build up your confidence in your heroes, and then just get to your 8. And again, you want 8 because you can do 8 attacks when you do 3v4. So it's no good doing 3v4 if you run out of heroes, right? So you want at least 8. I'm going to do 10. And for damage, I'm just going to go by color, and I'm going to assume this is a legendary level fight. So I'm going to be I'm going to be mostly looking at legendary and epic heroes to populate my list. Rare heroes are also great, but probably not going to be the ones that I'm going to look to at the legendary level. I would say the exception is probably Inula, but I won't actually put her on my list today. I'm just going to go through. I already had this written down somewhere. So I'm writing this down a little bit in order of color, so I can actually put down their color here as well. So I'm gonna go through, and as I say, trying to bring 2 of each. It's gonna be easier for some people than others to do 2 of each, because some people have really balanced rosters, and some people, the RNG of the altar has chosen that they are strong in just 1 or 2 colors, which is fine, but you gotta know your strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes having it more spread out is good for flexibility, You can also be a specialist. There's nothing wrong with that. But for maximum flexibility, you want a bit of a spread. If the altar doesn't bless you with the legendaries, you can always build up using epics. So I'm going to put Alex 2 because my Alex 2 is tanky and I have an Alex 1 that is fast, and I'm going to put him in the fast category. Just going to go through this pretty quickly because I already have it written down on a piece of paper. These are not really necessarily my actual favorite heroes, but I'm just writing some of these names down, which might be good examples for you. And I didn't write down any astral heroes, but of course, if you like your astral heroes, you can write them down too. Dobrinka. That's how you spell it. Alex 1. Obviously, you can take your time doing this. How's my typing? Is it fast enough for you? Okay. And Nika, that's the right. And okay, I'm just going to explain this a little bit. So I've done now 10 heroes and I've brought 2 of each color. I'm just going to go through the columns. So in damage, you see mostly snipers. In fact, I believe they're all snipers except claws. And I do prefer snipers for war. If you like AoEs, go ahead. These are supposed to be your favorite heroes. So favorite heroes, I'm hoping they also have your best gear. That's what you want. You want to use the heroes that are well equipped. There's no point putting equipment on a hero that you're not going to use. And there's no point having bad equipment on a hero that you want to use. And maybe something to highlight here. I have Octavia. Oh, sorry, Taiko is another AoE. I have Octavia here. She's actually also fast, but I've put her under damage. She does actually do a dual role, but when I pick her from my teams, I actually do consider her under the damage category. And this table is really just my thought process in written form. So the second column is support. And I've deliberately chosen heroes which are not that fast. You can put fast heroes in this as well. That's fine. I'll probably explain kind of putting the team together and the color synergies in a separate video. This video is just about this table. So Najar, Tessix, both tanky. Alexander 2, tanky. Zoe, right now I have her pretty tanky. Strybog, Tornus, intermediate speed, a little bit tanky. They're actually more fast than support, but their primary role here would be support, if I consider it that way. Strybog can go both ways, but since I've put down 2 of each color, I don't have him under fast. If I was considering my whole roster, Strybog could go under both support and fast. Probably the same for Tornus. Theo and Martin, both pretty tanky the way I've done them. Gomar is also more tanky with accuracy than fast, and Astra pretty much the same. Astra is very underrated, I think, as a hero who can remove statuses at the start of the battle, both a direct dispel and also by casting curse. And under the fast category, I have Mrs. Claus, definitely one of my fastest heroes. Dobrinka, intermediate speed, but I actually don't have that many fast reds that I use regularly at the legendary level. You could probably do separate tables for legendary, epic, and rare. That would make things more complicated. If you get started, maybe it's good if you just focus on one level, maybe legendary or epic, and put the heroes that you like. So I also have a fast Alex. I have a fast Alex and a tanky Alex. I have a fast Jera, Maharold, Aurora, Nefri, Sigil, Helica, Nika. And you can see some of these have great supporting roles as well, like Jera and Aurora with the with the protective shield, Mrs. Claus with the dispel, so it's not like these heroes don't have any supporting role. It's just that I'm bringing them primarily because they are fast. And now that you have this table, you actually have the blueprint for what you can bring. So I would want you to pick one hero from each column. And if you remember, I always had 2 colors in my team. And that's really to help with the mana gain. So in most cases, you're going to double up on the color of the damage hero, because usually the damage hero will be the slowest one and they will need the most help with charging up their mana. So for example, if I choose Claus as my damage hero, then if I wanted to go with some good mana gain for him, then I would want to choose a red hero in either the support or the fast category. I wouldn't want to go mono red because I'm using 2 colors. I'll explain the color thing in a different video. We don't have time today. So let's say we have Claus, and then we can either go maybe a support red or a fast red. So let's say I want to use Claus with Mrs. Claus. Then out of the support heroes, I wouldn't choose Naja or Tessix, but I could choose any of the green, blue, yellow, or purple heroes, right? And that already narrows it down because, say you have a team that has some green heroes, and you have, let's say you're facing a green and yellow team. So your Claus is going to target the green hero, and then you have a yellow hero, right? And the yellow hero, depending on who you choose as a support, that is going to determine who the yellow hero targets. So for example, you might choose a taunt hero, right? So you could choose out of this list, you could choose Alex, or you could choose Martin, or you could choose Tornus, and then you could make Tornus target herself. Or you could choose a purple hero. So in the end, I did explain the color a little bit, but so you could also use a purple hero from this list, right? And that yellow hero is going to target the purple based on color affinity. So that's one way of choosing your alternate color hero. But you could also say, okay, hang on a minute. Maybe the yellow hero that you're facing is Nefri and Gwyn. And therefore, my God, maybe that was not a good example. Okay, let's go with it. Nefri and Gwyn, and you already chose Claus and Mrs. Claus, and you think that maybe you want something to support those heroes. Well, you wouldn't choose, for example, Theo, Galmaris, or Astra, because they dispel, and you already have Mrs. Claus for dispel. You wouldn't choose Zoe because Mrs. Claus already does the defense down. So the heroes that would make sense for you to choose would maybe be Alex, Strybog, Tornus, or Martin, right? So you can see that this really helps you to narrow your choices down very quickly. Another example you could do, so let's say you still want to use claws. Maybe it's a different defense team with maybe Zarkon on it or someone with a big debuff. So let's say you wanted to choose claws and Najar. That means for your fast hero, you're going to choose someone else, green, blue, yellow, or purple, right? So maybe maybe you see that they've brought a heal block hero or the purple dragon with them, and you also want a little bit of protection from the dot from Zarkon. So maybe you could say, okay, I think that Claws, Najar, and Aurora seems like a good idea. Aurora will give shield, and she will also buff Claws. So just by choosing the heroes from this list, supposedly your favorite heroes that have good gear on them, you can start to see which choices make sense, which choices might make sense more than others, because the heroes might have a natural synergy, like an attack buff that is being helpful. Of course, you could also say, I want to bring Claws, Najar, and Jera. Jera would also give a protective shield, and you might say, well, in this instance, maybe I'm scared that maybe I know that my Claws is a bit squishy. Maybe I'm scared that the other team will be fast and put tiles into him, for example. So you could have a Jera who would have an increased defense buff instead of an increased attack buff. That can still be fine. It depends on the relationships you want your heroes to have. But I hope that the approach is clear, that you start with the damage hero, and that hero will be doing the bulk of the damage in your 3v4 team. And then you choose either a support or a fast hero from this table with the same color. And then for the alternate color, the last column that you have left will be the alternate color. So the screenshots that I showed you before, let's just go back to them. So you see Raphael, Guinevere, and Alexander. I actually didn't list Raphael and Guinevere, but in this table, Raphael would obviously be in the damage column. Guinevere is in the support column. I know because I know my Guinevere is not that fast. Therefore, Alexander must be from the fast column, right? That's just by way of deduction. And also, I know this one with the full dust and everything, he's the fast one. If I go to this screenshot, this one with only 4 purple stars, if I use my memory, I know that he is tanky, but I can also work that out from the other heroes in this team. So I have Maharold, Freya, and Alexander, and these heroes are in my table. You can see Freya in my damage column. You can see Maharold in my fast column. So therefore, Alexander must be from my support column. And that means that Maharold was the fast, so Alex was the tanky. The support is not always tanky, but usually if the fast is not tanky, then someone has to be. Maharold is particularly squishy if you compare to the friends in the fast column, because he's built a little bit more as an attacker. So I hope with these few examples that is a little bit clear. I'm curious to see if this works for you. Once again, don't worry if you don't have 10 heroes to put on a list in each category. And don't worry if you don't have 2 of each color. We all have different rosters. Do what works for you. But if you discover that you do want to be a little bit more all-rounded, if you do want a bit of flexibility, 2 in each color is not a bad goal, and it's across legendaries and epics. At least this table is, right? So there's a lot of chances to build up a hero. Just, pick one that you love, put really good gear on them. If your gear is a mess, then just start small, have this list, and at least you'll know who your priorities are for regearing. Start with 8, work up to 10. Once you get more confident, you can add more. You can put your whole roster in here if you want. But hopefully this will act a little bit as a cheat sheet that you can refer back to again and again. And what's really nice, I think, if you have it in a table or written down on a piece of paper somewhere, you can, of course, cross it off once you've used a hero in a war, right? So let's say I've used claws. Maybe I should use like a different color here. Let's see. Let's use the boom. Yeah, he's gone. So let's say I used claws. I use Najar. This is Thai, by the way, this funky, weird language. Najar, and let's say we use Jera. So, yes. So you could cross them out if you're, on a piece of paper. If you're on a piece of paper and you don't use emojis, you can color them in. You can make it a whole art project. But let's say, you cross them out one by one. Then you can, after a while, you'll see which choices you're limited in, right? Let's say you've used 4 teams. Let's try to do something that makes sense. Oh. Right. So let's say you've used 4 teams. Then you can see that your options are a little bit more limited. For example, if you want to go with a yellow damage, you can only choose Frank now. And you can choose between Frank Martin someone or Frank Nifri someone. So that's really going to narrow your choices down a bit. So you might realize, oh, I'm not able to attack this sort of team anymore, but I am able to attack a different sort of team. Maybe I have 2 purples left, so I can attack a team with yellows, or have 2 greens left, so in terms of damage dealers, so I can attack teams with blue heroes on them. So once again, I hope this was interesting to you. I hope this was helpful. It's a little bit of a window into my thought process for war. Certainly one that it has been working for me recently. And I always forget to say this. It's all this obligatory stuff. If you like this video, please leave a comment. Say how what you learned from it. Did you use it? What did you get from it? Really helps with the algorithm. And yes, I am that desperate to get views sometimes. You can also share, subscribe, all those nice things. It does really make my day to see that people have been watching it, have been engaging with it or sharing it. Well, obviously I don't see if you shared it, but I see if you subscribed. And once again, really thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. It's one of my favorite parts in this game to give back and to share what I know. So yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.